Okay, I am back. Um, I'm just going to repeat what I had just said because I had to get off for a second to help someone else get on. Well, a lot of times when you're reading different things on Facebook, um, everyone's talking about the unique position martial arts is in because it's probably one of the only sports that teaches all the life skills that parents are looking for. So if their kids are lacking self-confidence, self-esteem, patience, perseverance, martial arts can help. uh, challenge that I see is that's all true. As I go to watch classes in schools, I see the benefits being taught very, very sparingly. Maybe it's just the the word of the day. It could be they're just talking a little matcha. Hey, Mr. Axman, glad you made it on. So they're doing that, but it's not really a system for teaching benefits. And then I'll talk to the instructors and go, well, I can do it. Now, I've been around for a long time. I've been teaching for a long time. I can teach it. But getting these kids to do it, they just don't have the experience. So I kind of wanted to just talk a little bit about teaching benefits. And I started thinking this a long time ago because I came up kind of old school martial arts. I don't think my instructor had any retention type tools. He didn't have any life skill tools. You just went and trained. In fact, the first school I trained at was in a nightclub that didn't open till real late, and they let us use the floor, and the instructor came in, would move the tables, and that was the martial arts school. Then I started with more of a commercial school, but I never really saw benefits taking place as far as teaching. Quite a few people did get their black belt, but it was more or less the people that were like the confident, rough and tough guys in the first place. So I think it was a lot easier back in the day for people that came in and maybe they were ex-military, but they had perseverance, they had drive, they had motivation, and they made it to the black belt. But the challenge is most of the people that we get into our schools nowadays aren't those ex-military. What we're getting is kids that are broken. When I say that they're broken, something happened between first and second grade where they lost all their self-esteem and their parents just don't know what to do to make these changes. So they're bringing them to a martial arts school to get fixed. So we're not getting the rough and tough. I think to get a black belt, we have to concentrate on doing both. We have to concentrate on the physical skills, but we really have to concentrate on those skills that we refer to like life skills or value. And it really has the emphasis on building people from the inside first. So I think it's really more important that we go for the confidence, self-esteem, and then the physical skills will come after. So when someone walks in the door and you look at that person, you're talking to them, you can kind of tell who is it going to be that's going to make it to black belt? Who's going to develop the power, speed, accuracy, flexibility, intensity, focus needed for black belt proficiency. A lot of times I'll go to instructor college and go, can someone just tell me what it means to be a black belt? And people raise their hand. I go, okay, go ahead. And they go, they have a lot of self-confidence. Cool. What else? Well, their self-esteem. You can just tell they feel good about themselves. Okay, what else? They have a lot of integrity. I go, okay, but is that really being a black belt? I mean, when you go to someone else's school and you're watching classes, do you look at their black belts and go, yeah, this guy's got some serious black belts. I haven't seen focus like this in a long time. No, you don't. You're looking at students, their flexibility, how hard they can kick, the speed that they can move on. Is their self-defense practical? Are they accurate on the moves? Are they doing things correctly? Are they intense when they train? Or are they just going through the motions? You're really looking for that as a black belt. So that's what we're really looking to get. We're really looking to get the physical attributes. Not everyone has those things when they first start in. So what qualities are needed to keep working, make people train consistently, get them to overcome stumbling blocks? What qualities are needed so people pick themselves up after they get knocked down? how do we develop the quality so people have patience when things get difficult? I know I'm going to get this kick, but man, I've been working on it for 2 weeks already. I still don't have it. Well, it's going to take a longer time. I'm looking at Sal Convento out there doing some moves when he's walking. One of his goals was to win forms, fighting, and weapons. Things get difficult. It doesn't come that fast. You got to keep training and training. So how do we develop that into a person? How do we get them to stay focused on the goal? How do we get them to, if they have an injury, that they're going to overcome that injury? They're going to rebuild themselves, and they're going to come back, give up, and not quit. Those are the qualities that we really have to develop. That's how we're going to get people to stay to black belt. So I wrote down a whole bunch of things that I thought, and in fact, I even looked this up on a couple of college football sites on what qualities an athlete needs to really succeed. And when you take this list, the first step is to discuss the meaning of these terms to your staff. Now, if you have a 17-year-old and he doesn't really know what confidence means, he can't put it to words, it's okay if he Googles it and reads about it. You can discuss that. You may say, what does it take to have high self-esteem? I don't know. I have it, but this is how I know I have it. So you're going to ask them for a personal experience. Everyone should be able to describe all these terms in their own words. So you're going to ask them, what does it mean? What does it mean to be focused? What does it mean to have good concentration? So you're going to discuss that. But the whole agenda for this is to make sure each one of your team members can just say, to me, this is what focus means, and they can at least get that out. They don't have to go by the dictionary. Again, you can talk it over, or they can just read about it, or you just can discuss it. But these are things that I think that are really important. Focus and concentration. If people can't focus and concentrate, it's going to be really hard for them to learn any type of difficult martial arts moves. They have to have confidence. If they don't have confidence, they're going to give up so things get hard. They have to have high self-esteem. This could even be that you teach them how to do positive self-talk. They have to have courage. Man, I remember going to my first tournament. I still remember the form I did. It started with my legs together. My knees were bent, and the only thing I could feel was my knees knocking. I go, man, I hope the judges don't see me shaking like this. But you have to have courage. And if something like that happens, you have to have courage to go back. You have to take pride in yourself. When people take pride in themselves, they're always trying to do things to the best of their ability. They have to have honesty. I'm just saying telling the truth to someone else, telling the truth to myself. Am I training hard enough to get to where I want to go? Am I being honest? Or am I just kind of going through the moves? Do I have tenacity? I mean, am I hungry to reach that other goal? Am I coachable? Everyone's had students like that. You talk to them and you can say, well, this is going right through. They're not coachable. They feel that they've got it now and they're not going to go any further because you're just not willing to listen. So coachability is a life skill that they have to acquire. Positive attitude. Probably the most important thing. If I'm negative at anything, I'm going to be thinking negative. I'm going to be acting negative. I'm going to be talking negative. So I really have to teach a positive attitude. I have to be able to motivate. Some people want it, but they have a hard time staying motivated. That's why you've got to be a good instructor, watching your students, make sure that you can motivate them, and you talk about being self-motivated. The instructor's not going to be around you all the time. You have to be able to motivate yourself. You have to set both high and short-term achievable goals. You have to be able to learn from failure. I had a person training at my school. His name was Larry Kelly. They called him Connecticut's Kickin' Kelly. He was a great fighter back in the 80s, early 90s. When he used to go to a tournament, before he left, he would journal. He would journal all the things that he did wrong and they could learn from. And he also journaled things that he did good. But the point is, if he lost, that's okay. I'm going to write all this down, and I'm going to learn from failure. I'm going to train hard, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be different. You have to be able to deal with emotions and anxiety. I've seen students want to give up because it comes to testing time, and they're a ball of nerves. So one of the things that I have to train my students young is be able to deal with their emotions. Yeah, things are a little tough. I'm nervous, but to overcome fear, I have to do what I fear most. So these would be qualities that everyone has to learn. Next thing is, how do they look like? In other words, if I'm watching a student and all of a sudden I'm training him in class and he has a hard time, and all of a sudden I said, what does it look like when someone wants to give up and they're not learning from failure? So these are things that you can discuss. I mean, some of this is just obvious. If you're talking to someone and they're not looking in your eyes, it's pretty much assured that they have low self-confidence. Well, that's something you want to talk to your staff about. If we're teaching a student and all of a sudden you're talking to him and he keeps looking away, we got to make sure this is someone I've got to work on their confidence. Another thing, the reason you want to know what they look like, because when we teach benefits, one of the first things we have to do is identify them doing something good. So we have to catch them doing one of these things with confidence. Everyone has all of these things, but not everyone has developed them to black belt level. I mean, most people have been confident one time in their life. One time in your life, you had some type of courage. So everyone has some of these things, so they're going to exhibit those. When they exhibit those, then we're going to go through our 3 steps for teaching those things as a benefit. So your staff members, after they've learned that these are skills we're trying to build, I can describe those things in words, and I can identify when someone either lacks them or is doing them. So now you're teaching class. First thing we want to do is identify what we want to talk about. So this is what I'm seeing. Hey, David, I just got to tell you, you were looking me right in the eye when I was talking to you. Man, you've got some self-confidence. So the first thing I want to do is identify what I'm seeing. I see someone in class and they did a perfect push-up. David, I got to tell you, you've got a lot of pride. And the reason I say that you have a lot of pride is watching you do that push-up and you tried the best of your ability. That shows me that you're proud of things that you do well. And really, really important. That's really, really important. So first thing, this is what I'm seeing. Then I want to relate why this is important. Hey, David, taking pride in yourself is quality of a black belt. It's not only tying your belt right, but having pride in things that you do in the martial arts, looking your very best on tests. This is really important for a black belt in training. So number 1, this is what I'm seeing. 2, this is why this quality is important to a black belt in training. I really like that term, black belt in training. You're not a white belt, you're in a black belt in training. You're just at a different level of that training. So the why is, this is a quality of a black belt you're showing, and this is the reason why it's important. So first, what I'm seeing and why it's important for a student training in martial arts. The next thing we want to do is talk to the student briefly, or talk to the class briefly, talk to the parents briefly. This is how this skill is going to make a difference out in the real world. David, if you take pride in yourself here at martial arts and achieving a black belt, and you take that same self-pride at home or at school, it's going to make a huge difference. Your teachers at school go, man, David really always tries to do his best. He's one of those students, when a spelling word gets really tough, he doesn't give up on it because he takes pride in himself. He wants to make sure, David wants to make sure when he comes back to class, he knows how to spell that word and does good on his test. So David, take that pride to school, and all of a sudden, you're going to be getting better grades, you're going to do better in school, and you're going to enjoy going to school more. So that's the steps I want to go through today. So number 1, if we had to review, what benefits do people really need to stick with martial arts? Again, I start thinking about when I came up in the 70s. People say, well, martial arts really develops a lot of character and makes people really strong mentally and physically. Yeah, it does. But, out of 10,000 people, 9,998 quit. 2 of them are left, and the 2 of them had those skills before they even took martial arts. So if you want to get more black belts out of starting martial arts students, we have to give them the life skill qualities along with the training, or even stronger at the beginning of their training. Next thing we want to do is, okay, what are these life skills? This was my list. I'll even post this on Ringmaker's Business Solutions later on today. But if you just want to do this yourself, you've got life skills for top athletes. I looked at a lot of pages. Again, I've been doing this for years and years and years, but I want to make sure I was on track. I looked at Ohio State football team and things like that. And these are the lists I got from everyone. Focus, concentration, confidence, high self-esteem, courage, pride, honesty, tenacity, coachability, positive attitude, motivation, set high plus achievable goals. They learn from failure, and they learn to deal with emotions like anxiety. Once we know this and we can describe this, then we have to be able to identify it when it's happening in class. I know Scott Axman's on, and he's really good at this. It's one of the things that I've tried too. I would identify these things if a student just started to show it. So I could have someone who's a C student. He decided to line up in the last row because he doesn't have a lot of confidence. And he's taking class, and I go, Steven, man, look at that horse stance. Come up in front of the class. Now, he might just been in an okay horse stance, but I'm taking Steven. I go, Steven, can you get in that horse stance like you were back there? No, back there you had your knees bent more and your back was nice and straight. Yeah, you had your head up just like that. It was just like that. Man, you look so good. It takes a lot of self-discipline to have that type of stance. I know the knees get a little tired and your back gets a little tired, but you got it, man. You got that self-esteem that it's going to take. That's one of the huge qualities of a black belt, really believing in yourself and not giving up and having that self-discipline. You take that so everyone knows how that goes. Those 3 steps are, this is what I'm seeing. So I took this kid, Steve, from the back row, was in a pretty good horse stance, brought him up in front of everyone, kind of made sure he was in a perfect horse stance, and I identified Stephen for having good self-discipline. Next thing, why is this important? Why is this important on your progression towards black belt? And guess what, Stephen? If you did this in your other sports, or for your soccer team, or if you did this on your baseball team, or if you did this on your academics, this is how your life would change there. Now, not only is this helping Stephen and David and everyone else become really good black belts, it's also educating the parents on what to look for in their child. If they see how this is working and all of a sudden David or Stephen decide that, hey, I don't want to do martial arts anymore, mom's just not going to let them do that. Mom's going to come back to me and she's going, for some reason, my son's not wanting to do this. Okay, let's talk it over. Let's find out what's going on in his life. Let me give him some time for some extra help, see what I can learn and how I can remotivate him. But mom doesn't want to lose this. And mom's also going to tell her friends that, hey, if your child needs some of these things that martial arts offers, I'm really going to recommend East West Karate because I've seen the instructors there. I know how they work. I know the difference that they make in their child. We all look for referrals. People love bragging about their children. When you start making a difference, and parents also identifying these things that are happening, and I'm sure that's happened to everyone who's listening to this. You got that mom who goes, hey, I got to tell you, Sam is all of a sudden total different kid at home. He's cleaning up his room. He's doing this. He's more patient with his sister. They're going to be talking about your school, and you really become a difference maker. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you opportunities to teach benefits. So again, I don't want classes to become a therapy session. In other words, okay, this is a lot to teach, and I'm going to start instilling these what am I going to do? The punching, blocking, kicking, and that stuff. You're going to do a lot of punching and blocking, kicking. These are bullets. And there's certain times that these just come natural. After you do the student creed, it becomes natural. After you do your drills, it becomes natural. After you spotlight someone, it becomes natural. So tomorrow I'm going to give you at least 6 opportunities. So if you're teaching a 45-minute class, you're going to have at least 6 opportunities to throw in these benefits. So when you're training your staff, they know how to step up and what to say during these times. So again, you can become a difference maker. That is almost my 30 minutes. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Want to just add anything to someone else who listen to this?
Yeah, I would love to, sir. I know as we get older, we start to realize how much martial arts, the non-practical part, meaning the non-physical part of martial arts, plays a bigger part. And that's, the whole discipline, confidence, persistence, grit, all that stuff. And I see that in a lot of the kids and adults. And I think when they first start off, it's all about the physical stuff because that's what parents want to see. And then later on, as they get up in the higher ranks, they start to see more and more of those benefits that far outweighs just the physical part of it. And that's what I always tell the parents, and it's always a great reminder what you just did. So I appreciate it.
No, I know Scott actually wants, because he was driving, all of a sudden he stopped his car, so I think he wants to say something. Hey, Mr. Axman. Mr. Axman, do you want to add anything?
Can you guys hear me or no?
Yes, very good.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to share, when I was 18 and I first opened my school, I called you up with the problem of I don't know how to teach benefits. And you're like, just pick one, put it on the board, and it'll force you to start teaching it. And it was actually the absolute best advice that I've gotten.
Excellent. You've become really, really good at it too, not only with your students, but really with your staff training.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, everyone. Tomorrow, again, we're going to talk about the opportunities to teach these benefits, take more questions. Hopefully we get 100 people watching this video between now and then, and more people want to participate tomorrow. I will put up the recording, also copy these notes, and I'll attach the notes to the recording on the Rainmakers Business Solution. Thank you.